Ever wonder what tech leaders would say if they had no prep and no redos?
Welcome to Humans of Tech. I'm Caroline.
And I'm Kelly. We're keeping humans at the center of technology through quick, authentic conversations with people shaping the industry.
Got three rules: no prep, no editing, and one live random question our guest never sees coming.
All right, tell me the story. You've been dying to tell me.
This is such a funny story. I went on LinkedIn this morning. I was at a happy hour yesterday for work, and we took a bunch of pictures. Got on LinkedIn, and I see some of the pictures, and there's a close-up of a colleague and myself, and I look at him like, damn, my skin looks flawless. I was like, holy cow, that lighting. This is amazing. What a great picture. So I go to the text messages to text this woman
Yeah,
saying, could you send me that picture? Because I want to post it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Except that I see she had already sent it.
Oh,
Look at this photo. It's not the same photo. She edited it because I looked at the picture that I got texted yesterday and I'm like, see, my skin does not look flawless.
wow.
I do have bags under my eyes. I have many freckles. And I was like, what are the rules here? Is someone else
Yeah,
allowed to touch up? I don't ever put filters on my pictures. We were
you
just
don't. You're better at that than
regular
I am.
makeup. I don't really do the filter thing. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Can other people make you look more beautiful and post it on social media?
That's really interesting. I would say I don't do it. I only do it to my own posts. Like I feel like I'm like, okay, I'll make it. Hi.
Actually, you may want to jump in on this.
Yes,
Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry.
you're
We were
good.
just
I
so
I joined early. I just wanted to make sure my audio is okay, but I've
Oh, you're good.
interrupted something. I apologize.
No, not at
Oh,
all. I'll recap the story shortly. So I basically saw a picture that somebody else posted of me on LinkedIn, and I was flabbergasted at how great I looked. I was like, my skin looked amazing. And I asked her to send me the picture. And when I see the original photo, that is not what I look like. I had bags under my eyes. So she edited the photo of us and put it on. So we were saying, what's the line here? Because I don't normally edit any of my pictures that I put up. So, like, where's the line of can you edit someone else's look and post it on social media or not? I just thought that was funny. I
I was
never,
about to say, I feel like a filter, like light filter on my side, like that, but not really on LinkedIn, actually. My Instagram is totally different than, LinkedIn. I feel like I don't really edit things for LinkedIn, but I mean, I don't know. What's your take, Pegah?
I'm more concerned about whether or not they had your consent to post it at all. I'm in that lucky position where I'm such a privacy person that everyone is afraid to post photos of me without asking. So,
so funny. So I used to feel that way about my nephew. My sister, when she first had her nephew, came down hard on everybody that she wanted zero
Mhm.
pictures of him
Yep.
on social media. So I'd always be like, "Hey, is this one okay? His back's on there," and da da da. And eventually she caved because she was desperate to show friends and family
I
like
mean,
how
oftentimes
pure
you
the
see a
fun is.
smiley face over like baby's
Yeah.
photos, that's it.
But
But
I never thought about it for myself. So do you not post anything? What's your rule of
I post
thumb?
things. I post things.
yeah,
I just if I'm posting someone else's photo or someone else's information, I always ask them if it's okay.
yeah,
If I'm sharing anything at any
yeah,
point, I ask them if
Yeah.
it's okay, right? Same as like if somebody asked me, what's Kelly's phone number, I
yeah,
will probably ask Kelly, is it okay if I share your phone number?
right.
So before I do that. Now, whether or not editing your photo is okay, that's another step. That's another consent issue.
Yeah.
And I think it matters if it's sort of a light touch up to make you look just
Right.
I look
Brighten
take
the
out
photo
take
up.
out
I had
basic
slept through the whole
Yes.
night.
flaws,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As opposed to like actually altering
Yeah.
significant things about you. I think that would be different.
What a timely story, Caroline. And we haven't introduced you yet. So I'll introduce you and then we'll kind of go into our normal. Does that work? So Pegah Parsi is the Chief Privacy Officer at UC San Diego.
That's right.
Which is one of the top research universities in the world, people. So we are so happy to have you on, Pegah.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So shall we dig right in? Can I
Yeah.
put a question today?
Yeah, because I don't have mine. in my bowl. So
So what we do, Peg, I don't know if you're like super well aware, we have this fish bowl and we just pull out a random question and we just hope that you answer authentically.
Terrifying.
Not scary.
Yes.
And
no.
we always end up learning something new from everybody. So
And it's always like the perfect question for that person too. So
it always turns out that way. All right. So, okay. This is a tough one. Actually not. How do you create,
Oh,
as because I'm thinking about how I would answer. I'm sorry. How do you create meaningful human connections in a remote or hybrid workplace?
oh, okay. That is a good question for me because I do work remotely. I work
Okay.
fully remotely. So, um, I make sure that first of all, anytime there's a Zoom meeting or something like that, that I spend a little bit of time having chit chat with people, not a small talk like in the way some people do, but to actually have a meaningful conversation, ask them about their kids and whatever's going on in their lives. I also have to come to campus, on occasion. So when I do, I make sure that I touch base with people and put some FaceTime in when I can. It's a very difficult thing to do to have meaningful connections because it's so easy just to hop in and hop out. I think a lot of people experienced that during the pandemic, where
Yeah.
you just come in, you don't have time, everyone's been staring at the squares all day, you're tired, you just want to get to the agenda and get the heck out of there. But some of the most meaningful things happened when people at the beginning would say, I really want to know how everybody is doing right now. Times are hard, times are difficult. How are you doing? So I've taken that to heart and I try to do that and ask people in a sort of genuine way, not in this throwaway way,
Yeah.
how they're doing. It's a
that's
hard
an
thing to do.
interesting point too about the not a throwaway point. You know, people ask questions just sometimes to ask how are you doing? It's like not
Yeah.
intentional, but asking those intentional questions. Caroline, what were you going to say? Sorry, cut you off.
No, I used to, and I haven't done it in a while. I kind of diverted to something that I feel might be easier, but I used to set up coffee talks with people just
Mhm.
to like grab a coffee and chat because I think that we get used to going from one meeting to the next, and that's the only time we're connecting. But putting in 15 minutes without an agenda, not to talk about work, just to like have a coffee and just chit chat about something else was really helpful. And I have like a little post-it note here that reminds me on days that like that I don't feel like things don't feel right, where things, some days you have some days where you feel like you're not moving the needle and it's just not going great. I'll just go through my phone and call either an old colleague or a current tech partner just to say hello and say something like just to say hello and see how they're doing. Again, no agenda. And I feel that like really, really helps, at least for me personally.
I'm glad you said that. I was actually going to say the same thing. My friends got mad at me. So they were like, it's 20 that time, 2020. Who makes a phone call? Why are you calling me? Is something wrong? But after a while, people I think got used to getting cold calls from me just to say, hey, I don't have anything. I'm just saying, hey, how's it going?
Have you been in this role pre and post COVID, or
Yeah.
did you come in? Okay. So you did have a world in which maybe were you always remote?
No,
Okay. So it
no,
was
I was
totally the
fully
transition.
in person before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a huge difference.
Huge. It is.
Um,
And you don't have occasion to run into people grabbing coffee or lunch or walking
yeah.
around campus.
Going to the
So
walking to the bathroom or going to get water.
that's
You
right.
don't see anyone. It's like I see my dog.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to make those things happen for
Yeah.
yourself.
You do.
I'm gonna go totally off our normal script before we stop, but I think you gave such an interesting perspective about LinkedIn and consent and what not given your role, like, is
Mhm.
there any advice you'd give to folks out there in terms of like privacy basics? I know I just threw something out, like something that we should be thinking about that maybe we don't think about on a regular basis when it comes to us
In
and you
ourselves.
out
Yeah.
there.
There's so much. That's a
I'm
huge question. That can take
sorry.
that can take up the rest of the day for me. Yes, of course. So I like to start with basics with people because sometimes when you talk about privacy to the lay audience, they don't know what you're quite talking about. And unfortunately, here in the US, we've taken to thinking about privacy either in just a purely sort of consumer rights issue, or around identity theft or social security
Hmm.
numbers or that sort of thing. Or we think of it as a surveillance matter in a law and order context. Like, oh, the police need this, it's a security issue, let's give it to them. Or the police need this, no, it's a surveillance issue, let's not give it to them. But then we lose the nuance of everything else that privacy entails. So I like to start by just talking about what privacy is and why it matters to people, so that we don't think about it in just this sort of small, narrow way. And that's to say, the privacy is really, at the end of the day, about having control over yourself. That sounds like a kind of a made up definition. But when we talk about privacy, we're talking about not just confidentiality and keeping things kind of walled off or secret or just confidential. What we're talking about is having the ability to say who has access to what about us. So, for example, when we talk about something like bodily privacy, when we talk about bodily privacy, we're talking about who has access to our body for what? Do you do medical research? Do you get a vaccine? Do you give sexual consent? Do you have contraceptives, right? Can you get an abortion? Abortion is a huge bodily privacy issue. When we talk about our space, our warrants, whether or not law enforcement can come and rummage through our car or our house or whatever, right? That's about who has access to our stuff. Then the same thing about personal data. When we talk about in the digital space, it really isn't about just saying, no, no, no one has access to my information or to my data. It's about saying, okay, you can have access to my digital profile or my digital footprint for this purpose, but not for this purpose.
Mhm.
You can use it to, you know, do some research or something, or to give me personalized Netflix recommendations, but don't use it to give it to law enforcement, right? So you can have different sort of understanding of what you're okay with and what you're not. So what I tell people is to get out of this business of thinking about privacy in these sort of small ways, and instead think about, at least in the digital sense, to think about their entire digital profile, to think
Mhm.
about everything that exists out in the digital world about them. There are so many data points that are just we're spewing out all day, every day. I have my phone next to me 24/7. I am not away from that thing. That is collecting my location. It knows who I'm calling. It knows, what app I'm using. It knows everything. It has access to my camera. You know. Um, Same thing right now. We're on Zoom. It's
Right.
collecting a lot of information. So we're
Yeah.
just spewing out stuff all over the place. All of that is captured by different entities, different data brokers, and different data aggregators to create these different profiles of you. So there's digital Kellys that exist, digital Carolines that exist, digital Pegas that exist. And what I tell people is to think about that entire digital you, as opposed to thinking just about, well, I'm putting this one photo on
Yeah.
Mm.
Instagram. Who cares about this one photo? What I tell them is think about your entire thing and what
Entire.
you've contributed to that. So that's a very long answer to
Yes.
what you're saying. And I don't think I've given you like a specific thing that people
No,
should
You know
that,
what?
do,
No, I
but
think
it's
you
an
opened
important
up
way
my
to think
mind.
about it.
Yeah, you opened
yeah.
up my mind to the whole aspect. I didn't even think about, the three main pieces, right? The body piece, the space. I think I only ever really think about it from the digital
Yeah,
perspective,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, of
There
course.
is so much more.
Of course, and they interlink
Yeah.
together, right? We use a lot of data to talk about our bodily privacy or our space or, our location where we've been, right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think oftentimes you think of kind of like it as like a bad thing. Like, what if someone catches what they saw me doing or whatever? But it's like also a good thing to help with solving crimes quicker
That's right.
because there are so much more surveillance out there. So it's so interesting in this world. You like Google yourself and your name. I feel like a while ago you would just Google your name and see what comes up, and it's like, is that there's probably a lot more than that because you're not.
Yeah, ask ChatGPT. I should ask ChatGPT what.
there's
Think
a
about me.
significant body of information about you. Again, and being,
Mhm.
bought and sold and packaged and repackaged in different ways, from the obvious things like your social security number, your email address, your, employee ID and all of that, to little things about you, like what websites you visit, how long do you stay on there, do you watch your videos at 2 times speed?
Wow.
Do you shop in the middle of the night? Are you a compulsive shopper? And so you can imagine when that all of that goes into your digital profile, that can be used for good. That can be used by a researcher, for example, to help with any number of things in the human condition, or it can be used for nefarious purposes by somebody that wants to get you to spend your money a certain way, or get your
Mhm.
eyeballs on something a certain way, or make you vote a certain way. So
Mhm.
I tell people, just because there's a digital profile of you or data are collected about you, that's not on its own a good or bad thing. What matters is, who has access and from it.
I'll say I was most impressed. I've recently, and I hadn't told anybody about this because I find it kind of weird. Anytime I wash my hair, I feel like it's not getting cleaned properly. And I had only thought about this. I have not researched. I have not done anything. I have not spoken
Yeah.
anywhere. I was like, I wonder if the if I change the water filter in my thing, if it would. So yesterday I got into the shower and I tried to take off the shower head. It didn't work, and then I left it. That's all. That's the extent. My phone does not stop giving me ads
Hmm.
for shower water filters. And I'm like, how? I was by myself
The
in my,
camera, the front camera and the back camera,
I
probably.
don't even know if my phone was in the bathroom. And I'm just like fascinated. I was like, this is so, that's the part, that's the line that gets me uncomfortable. I don't want someone
Of
telling me what to buy.
course. Of
Hmm.
No one wants to tell me
course.
what to buy.
Creepy as a word of art in the privacy discipline.
Yes. And so how did you get into this space?
Yeah.
Um, another long answer for you. I'm sorry. You had a verbose guest here today.
No, I love it.
So I went to law school because I wanted to do human rights work. That was very important to me. It was, mid aughts when I went to law school. But then by the time I graduated, it was in the recession, and human rights is already just notoriously difficult to get into anyway. Then the recession, nobody was hiring. There was just a lot going on. So I continued doing the work I was doing during law school, which was working for the university, doing like contracts and things like that. Important work, interesting work, but it you know, wasn't the
Not
thing
heartfelt. Yeah.
that was moving my soul. But I put my everything into it. I worked hard, as you should. I think in everything you should do the best that you can, even if you don't like it, or you don't. It's not the soul mover you want it to be. Anyway, so I continued doing that kind of work at various universities. And learning a lot about research and higher ed and all of that. But then I started seeing more and more privacy terms in contracts. And I started asking questions and just saying, what is this? What does that mean? Do we comply with this? Do we have this program? Can I sign off on this? And I think I annoyed my boss by asking too many questions. And so when a developmental assignment came up, he said, why don't you go to the privacy office? I was at Stanford at the time. He said, why don't you go to the privacy office and you learn it? So I went to the Stanford privacy office. I was only supposed to be there for 6 months on a rotational assignment. But once I got there, I first was just cutting my teeth on the compliance pieces and just understanding the various laws. But very quickly, the civil liberties and the civil rights issue and the human rights issue of privacy and the fact that it is a fundamental right that so many other things rely on, very quickly that opened itself up to me. And so then I fell into it just
Your
completely. And
your
it was
soul
just
was beating.
somehow I ended up exactly where I was supposed to be doing a part of human rights that I had no idea even existed.
Yeah.
And so now I spend a lot of time talking about ethics and privacy as that fundamental right and as a civil liberty issue.
I love that. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Well, Pegah, we loved having you. We're gonna stop the recording here. Hang tight for a second, but
Yeah.
thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us and
Thank you.
sharing this. Thanks for hanging out with us on Humans of Tech.
Subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or LinkedIn and join the conversation.
Oh, and don't forget, you can now shop our store. Check the link on the show notes.